You know what one of the nicest things about retirement is? Not having anywhere to be. And you know one of the quickest ways to ruin that? Invite me somewhere. Now, before anybody gets offended, it's not personal. In fact, I like you. I probably like you quite a bit. I just don't necessarily want to go anywhere with you. And if you invite me, now you've created a problem for me because I've got to look at the invitation, I've got to check the date, I've got to pretend to think about whether I'm available. And then I've got to come up with some reason why I can't go. When the real reason is I don't want to put pants on. And I know I'm not the only person who feels this way. My brother and I talk about this all the time. We're actually pretty similar when it comes to this kind of thing. Somebody says, "Hey, we're all getting together Saturday. You want to come?" Our natural reaction usually is, "Nah," not because we don't like the people, not because we wouldn't have a good time if we went. We just don't particularly want to go. But here's what's funny. My brother and his wife moved into a campground in Pennsylvania. They live there in their camper, and this place is social. There's always something going on. They're having dinner. They're having a party. Somebody's getting together. There's some activity. People are stopping by. Everybody knows everybody. And every time my brother tells me about another thing they're doing, I tell him, "You've moved into the villages, except you've got wheels," and apparently he likes it, which is great. But when he describes it to me, all I can think is, "You're living in hell." And I know what some people are thinking. This doesn't sound very healthy because we're constantly being told, especially as we get older, that we need to stay socially active. Get out of the house, meet people, join a club, volunteer, make new friends, go places, do things, stay connected. And I understand why. Loneliness is real. There are people who are lonely in retirement, and I certainly don't want to make light of that. But I think sometimes we confuse being alone with being lonely. They're not the same thing. Some people need a lot of people around them. They love having something on the calendar every day. They love knowing the neighbors. They love cookouts and the parties and the clubs. My brother seems to be doing pretty well with it. Good for him. I'm happy for him. I just don't want to live there. And maybe this is something that's changed as I've gotten older. There was a time when you felt like you were supposed to go. Somebody invited you to something, you went. Somebody was having a party, you showed up. There was an event at work, you went. Sometimes you didn't even ask yourself whether you wanted to. That's just what you did. And you know, now I ask myself a very simple question. Do I actually want to go to this? And it's amazing how often the answer is no. I don't mean that in some miserable, grumpy old man way. I'm not sitting in my house yelling at kids to get off the lawn. I don't even have a lawn. I really enjoy having control of my own time. And it isn't that supposed to be what one of the benefits of retirement is? For decades, somebody else controlled a big chunk of your day. You had to get up at a certain time. You had to be somewhere. You had meetings, appointments, deadlines, commutes. Then you finally retire, and everyone tells you you need to get involved. Do I? Because I just spent 40-something years trying to get out of meetings. I'm not sure I want to join a club so I can start going to them again. And here's another thing I've noticed. An invitation can sound pretty good 3 weeks in advance. Yeah, that sounds like fun. Then the day arrives, and suddenly you're thinking, why did I agree to this? I was perfectly happy sitting here. Now I've got to take a shower. I've got to get dressed. I've got to drive somewhere. I've got to make conversation. And then at some point, I've got to figure out how long I have to stay before it's socially acceptable to leave. It's exhausting just thinking about it. And then every once in a while, something wonderful happens. Your phone buzzes. Hey, sorry, something came up. We're going to have to cancel tonight. And you type, oh, that's too bad. Hope everything's okay. Meanwhile, you've just been given your evening back. It's like finding $20 in an old pair of pants, except you don't have to put the pants on. I think what I've realized is that I don't need a huge social life. I don't need a calendar full of things to prove that I'm having a successful retirement. And I definitely don't need to be busy just for the sake of being busy. I'm perfectly capable of entertaining myself. I can go for a walk. I can go somewhere by myself. I can sit at home. I can work on something. I can do absolutely nothing. And I'm pretty good at that last one. That doesn't mean I never want to see anybody. Of course I do. There are people I enjoy spending time with. There are things I enjoy doing. But I've become much more selective about both. And maybe that's really what this is about. When you're younger, you spend a lot of time worrying about whether other people want you around. As you get older, you start asking different questions. Do I want to be there? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And when I don't, it's not personal. So if you're having a cookout this weekend, I hope you have a great time. If you're having a party, I hope everybody shows up. If you've got some club that meets every Tuesday night, I hope you have a waiting list. I just don't feel like you have to invite me. I'm good, really. There's a pretty good chance I'm sitting at home perfectly content, wearing something I wouldn't answer the door in, and that's exactly where I want to be. But there is one exception to all of this. If you're my kid or one of my grandkids, invite me. I'll put pants on.